spacious, beautiful venue with plenty of parking, located in the heart of East Memphis. Let us host your next intimate birthday gathering, family repast, bachelorette party, wedding and reception, baby shower, corporate meeting, social club event. Call us today. Don't wait. 901-244-6874. The all-new SVP Banquet and Event Center.
Welcome to Couch Convo with Coach Karla. I am your host, Karla Lewis, and this is where we give you life tips, tools, and solutions to help make life better for you. I have a very special guest with me on tonight. His name is Christopher B. Smith.
Franklin.
Franklin,
Yeah,
I'm so sorry. I'm so
Smith
sorry.
today.
I know better. Welcome, Chris.
Glad to be here.
Oh, you know I gotta change somebody's name. But no, Christopher is the new president of Tegna, which is
Not Tegna.
It's not?
Yeah, because we got a new president of Tegna too.
Oh.
We did.
Oh,
yeah.
wow. Okay. So I'm gonna let you explain all of that
Oh,
then.
no problem.
But the president of WLMT and WATN, ABC 24 and 30.
That's it.
Okay. All right. So he was just newly, what am I supposed? I want to say newly elected
Newly
because
minted.
we
Whatever.
voted today. Newly minted as the president and general manager. Y'all, I've been on break, obviously, but I'm so glad to have him here with me now. When I started off the show, I said the old tagline, life tips, tools, and solutions to help make life better for you. But we have a new tagline, which is a part of the refresh for Couch Convo with Coach Karla, and it is where current events and mental health converge. So as I have been out for the month of July, we've been working on refreshing some things for the Couch Convo with Coach Karla brand. And I look forward to continuing to be able to share all of those things with you. And I bring you aloha from Hawaii. Had a chance to go to Hawaii and be at a counseling conference. Have you been to Hawaii before?
No.
You haven't?
No.
I'm surprised, but I think everybody should have an opportunity to go to Hawaii. The food is fresh, the fruit is sweeter, the coffee is better, and the people are nice.
Cool.
But very, very expensive. So I was ready to come home after my 6 days. But I was really impressed with the culture there and how nice people were towards one another. They believe in ohana, which is family. So I just wanted to share people a little bit about where I've been, but we're gonna get more into our special guest who's taken his time out of his busy schedule to be with us. So Chris, especially since I can't get your name right, I'm gonna let you tell people more about yourself.
Oh, good deal. Well, a little bit about me is a little bit about my family. My beautiful wife, who's here today supporting me, Teresa Franklin, and my niece is here as well, Jocelyn, yes, fourth grader. She's so brilliant, and she's a dancer and swimmer and all that stuff. But family is very important. So, and before I talk about anything else, career and life and things that I've done in business, it's always important to, as you talked about with your trip to Hawaii, family, how important that is for everything.
Absolutely. And he is the first Black general manager in the station's history.
I believe that's accurate.
All right, all right. And let's see. He also spent 9.5 years working in media at Hope Church. Hope is a beautiful church out on Walnut Grove, correct?
Correct.
And I happen to go there for a lot of counseling conferences, and I've had a chance to visit the church and meet the pastor as well. Just a really nice place. And so Chris spent almost a decade there and then decided to go back into the broadcast industry.
Yeah. My career, even going way back into high school, I began to work, production on different events and items and things like that. But the big thing was when I went to college, I actually worked at 2 television stations part-time, Community Access Television and the Fox affiliate in Nashville.
Okay.
So I worked 2 part-time jobs, but I also played college basketball. I was on the chess club.
Oh, you were
I started a
busy.
video club. I was in my fraternity, so it was. I didn't go to a lot of parties. Didn't really, smoke or drink or do anything crazy. But I was very active,
Okay,
So,
well, I didn't go to a lot of parties either because I was Fifth Jubilee singing.
Yes. Yes.
That was about all I had time for, and to get, as my parents would say, get my lesson or do my homework. Yeah, the older people say, get my lesson. So, Chris, was that what you always wanted to be when you grew up, a president, a general manager of a media company?
No, I think I have inherently a heart for ministry. My mom is a pastor, retired pastor, and my dad is an educator, he's a teacher. And so a preacher and a teacher, leading the household, 6 of us in the house, my parents and the 4 kids. So inherently, I've been connected to more kind of nonprofit and education. So I organically have connection. I have a heart for people.
Yes.
Always somewhat of a great communicator in gathering people. But the performing arts high school that I went to, my major was media production.
Okay.
And so I've kind of always been in this lane. And developing those gifts. And so, again, working at 2 television stations and being a creator on campus, I constantly developed storytelling.
Storytelling is really important because it helps connect us to people. And I've been learning more about storytelling in my role and taking classes even. So I'm understanding the importance of being able to connect with people in that way.
What you and I do is not too different as a counselor. My wife is a mental health professional as well. She does psychotherapy. And so what we've realized is we both have the skill of active listening, right? And so when I'm interviewing someone, I'm not just interviewing just a list of questions. I'm interviewing them, but I'm also seeing how they respond and knowing when to pause. Yeah. Leave that quiet there, knowing when to dig deep. Yeah. And that's what you do when you're trying to get someone to arrive somewhere.
I do, absolutely. Yeah. That's a big, and people don't think about using silence, but using silence is a big part of therapy. And when you said it, it brought me back to a session that I had today, walking somebody through divorce. And that was even one of the things that we talked about during the counseling conference that I attended, which was called the Aloha Summit, but we looked at betrayal trauma. And so being able to use silence is really important in therapy and just in communication in general with people, allowing people to have that space to process and to connect one with the other. In that conversation.
No, that's so right. And actually, in the interview process, when I'm actually sitting down, because obviously I'll sit down with an interview with somebody, interview them for an hour, an hour and a half, and then I'll edit a story down to 3 minutes. So all those hours that you spend in creating a story, trying to figure out what emotionally connects with someone, you learn a lot about people, but you also learn a lot about yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons why I like therapy as well as interviewing is that it does give me a chance to learn about myself as well as other people. Yeah. So, but you mentioned what I heard you mentioning was a gift in terms of leading people. That's a gift that everybody doesn't have.
Yeah. Wow, it's a developed skill. Some people organically have a presence that commands people to kind of follow, but that most people have to figure out how to connect with someone, to earn trust, to learn how the conversation, the 5 love languages is the same as the 5 apology languages, like trying to figure out how to connect with people in order to get hearts and minds, I guess. So sometimes you have people who are hands and feet people who they just want to come in and do the job, but in order to really move an organization forward and lead people, you have to figure out how to connect with people on a more emotional, the hearts and minds. Let's do this together. Let's build a team. So leadership is a developed skill. Again, some people organically just get it. But over the course of the years, I mean, I've learned from leading in the second chair from my time at Hope Church. And,
okay.
Even in running my own business, not having to have all the answers myself, and looking at partnerships of people who are in my same industry that taught me how to lead my team better. It's like I said, it's a process, as is in everything is that you want to perfect and become a professional in.
Now you mentioned leading from the second chair. Tell people what that is, because everybody might not be familiar with what you mean by that.
You're not always in a position to make the decision, but you are often in rooms where your voice is heard. And so how can you give perspective, give examples, encourage leaders to see where they're leading the company or in a specific event, how it may be a better decision to go in another direction. So that second seat is important because you have almost that, if say you're at a 40,000 foot view of how the company operates, the person who's at the 50,000 foot view or 100,000 foot view has a lot more pressure, and sometimes that pressure blinds them on what can actually change the impact. And so that person leading from the second chair is in a very unique situation because that 40-foot view, you're able to see something different that you could communicate to the leader in order to make that decision a better decision. It could still be a good decision, but just a better decision.
Okay. Maybe something that's better for, everybody involved, or?
Depending what the goals are. For some people, it's for retail. It's it's getting more sales. For television, it's gaining more viewers, or growing social media. Or it depends on what the objectives of each organization is.
Yeah. So you've been in the role now for maybe 4 weeks.
Man, well, look, I was in an interim role before that, for about 10 weeks before I got.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've learned a lot even in the interim role.
I believe you. I bet you have. So how does it feel to be in the role now? Now that you've been in it for a few days and weeks.
I'm not sure I've fully processed that. I feel like I've just kind of gotten to work. Maybe in hindsight, I'll go back and look and realize that I should be proud. Perfect example. My wife put on this promotion celebration for me, right, with a lot of close friends and family, and then we all came out and had dinner. And after it was over, I was emotional, and I was speaking to the group, and I just stopped and paused and said thank you to my wife for putting it together, because whether I've won an Emmy Award or I've graduated from college, I really just moved to the next thing. And so I have a habit of just kind of, all right, off the list, do the next thing. Let's keep moving.
Yeah.
So I can't say that I've actually stopped and paused to think, wow, I'm in the chair, because it's not to me about being in the chair. It's about there's work to do, there's people to serve. How do I make sure that I'm doing what I need to do, not to get fired, right?
I'm not concerned about you being fired. But one of the things that I picked up on is that a lot of times when people are very achievement oriented, and that includes me, we have to be very careful and make sure that we celebrate our successes. Because if we don't, it can just feel like this big run-on sentence, and it can start to feel like I think that it messes with our motivation when we don't stop and pause. And so I do a really good job at celebrating everything, not just birthdays and holidays, but every success. And I ask my clients, okay, you achieved that goal. How did you celebrate? How did you reward yourself? And they only do it half the time. And I have to ask and follow up and make sure that they do it. So, and you still have an opportunity to celebrate your successes and the goals that you achieve as you continue to go on.
Yeah, I like celebrating people, but you're right, I don't do that enough for myself. Our news director, who just got promoted, when I got promoted, she got promoted to be the news director at our Atlanta station, WXIA.
Okay.
And she's from Memphis, born and raised. She went to Cleveland and Buffalo and found her way back here to be the news director. And so now we're looking to fill her role. So if you know somebody who needs to be a news director or wants to be a news director, tell them to give me a call. But no, she was very critical in that we got there together 4 years ago as director of marketing, and we were peers and news director. And so when we looked at Memphis and our roles in the station, is like, how can we impact Memphis? And so we got to work on changing the culture internally, not just the brand. Well, yes, the brand. The brand the brand of the station is both internal and external. Everybody thinks the brand is just putting a tagline or a slogan or a new logo. It's recreating yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, that with her being there and me being there at the same time, I think everything is ordained. You know, being a man of faith.
Yeah.
And so it was a special time for us in this season of ABC 24.
Okay. So as you were saying that, it made me think about what makes this brand different from the other TV brands that are out there in the Memphis market.
Yeah, I think if you pay attention to the language that we use and the scripts that we write, and our big thing, the external communication, is solution seeking. Most people will bring up a story and just talk about how scary it is or how dangerous it is, but dangerous it is. But we're talking about safety.
Yeah.
We're talking about that there was a mom whose son worked at Zaxby's and he was shot in the parking lot after closing. The story wasn't that there was shooting at a Zaxby's. The story was the mom was wanting to thank the first responder that was off duty that saved her son's life.
Yeah.
And so these stories, yes, you want to draw attention to them, but you also want to make sure that these are all people. These are humans. Like we're not trying to throw stats and do salacious stuff. So I think just that example just shows how we're approaching news differently. And it's no secret that this has been our approach, our very community-focused approach with community listening sessions and town halls. That I'm excited that we are doing them and have been doing them for 2 years, but I'm also excited at the impact it's having on Memphis. If you notice, a lot of city officials and politicians and community organizers are doing their own town halls now.
That's true.
That wasn't happening before we began to do ours.
Okay.
And we don't want credit for it, but what we want is more communication.
Yeah.
We don't have to be at the seat.
Yeah.
We don't have to be there for things to happen, but until people start talking, nothing changes.
That's true. I agree with that. And I feel like that's how solutions come about as we continue to talk and get to know one another. And I mean, that includes people of different faiths, people of different cultures, people of different races, because we still have a lot of work to do. I believe in all of us coming together.
Yeah. That was one of the biggest things that was different when I first arrived, is that, working for a church, everybody's a Jesus follower. So we had that as like our home base.
Yep.
And so being in more of a public space where there's agnostics there are people who are Jewish, so, I mean, there are people who, as a matter of fact, there are people who feel like they have given up on church because there's been church hurt. So
that's right.
But so having to understand how to communicate with different perspectives and different types of people. It's not just, hope is great. It's multi-ethnic, it's multi-generational, but there are people who will never step foot in a church. And I feel like the ministry of being president and general manager at ABC 24 is like, what can I do in my ministry lane that Hope couldn't do? As large as Hope is, what am I called to do? What is my purpose in this moment to connect with Memphis and make Memphis a better place?
Awesome. And as you were talking, I church hurt is something that I've had to talk with a lot of clients about. I think especially with us being in the Bible Belt, and I am a person of faith. It has really struck me that clients come to me, as I'm a therapist, and they say they will never ever go to church again. And that's very hurtful. And they've experienced church hurt, but more specifically, church trauma. And so it is, the things that you do are very important. This show is very important as we show love and share love and community mindedness. And I just hope that things continue to take off in that area. So that, and it's just really important. Instead of us, and this is kind of like my message to Memphis, instead of us criticizing as much, just continuing to support and encourage one another and get to know one another. I just think that's really important.
I agree. Yeah, my grandfather, on his deathbed in Cincinnati, he talked about, God's greatest works are through people, and through people doesn't necessarily mean walking through the doors of the church. It means getting out and connecting with people so they feel the love of Christ without having to say, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Right?
Yeah.
So how do you connect with somebody on that level where they, God is close to the brokenhearted. We are able to connect with people on a very personal level.
Yeah. And I mean, we connect with people. I still think about my role as a therapist. Building rapport is a part of it, and so I want to know, even when I'm doing an intake, do you have certain books you like to read? Are there certain movies you like to watch? That's a way to connect. Are you a mac and cheese person? Do you like pizza or seafood? All of those are different ways that we can connect with people. How do you have fun? How do you spend time with your family? And so, that's just kind of just throwing some examples out there to people, the audience, as you go throughout the community.
Oh, you're so smart. I'll tell you.
Am I?
Yes,
Am
you
I
are.
really?
Yes,
you know
are.
what? I'm working on it. I'm working on it. But as I continue to grow, even my attendance at this conference is funny because I was questioning myself. As a therapist, I use humor a lot. And I think that surprises people. I use it naturally. And so I was questioning myself, do I do that too much? And so I didn't know it, but one of the things that we ended up talking about at the conference was laughter in therapy. So it was, what's that word? Confirmed that it's great that I do it. And I think that clients have even greater outcomes. I'm not good at explaining how I do it because it is just a big part of who I am. I think that people, when they see me walking down the street, they see the serious side of me, but then when they come into the therapy office, they get a chance to see another side because I'm focused on you and helping you get to a better place mentally and spiritually. So, but I was really glad for that to be confirmed, just the importance of laughter and joy. And, one of my favorite scriptures is the joy of the Lord is my strength. So I know if I have that joy, I can make it.
All right, preach, preacher.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, and really, kind of sort of along those lines, but I was thinking, what makes a great leader? And I feel like maybe we need more great leaders in our city to help make things better. I was thinking on the way here, I used to work as a therapist in the prison environment, and the perspective that I had, some of the guys were saying, some of the inmates were saying, well, Miss Lewis, we need 20 more of you. And then I sat there and I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, you probably do. In terms of me being non-judgmental and believing that they could truly be rehabilitated and go out into the community and make a difference. What do you believe that we need more great leaders, and what does it mean to be a great leader?
Leadership is always critical to not just guiding the masses, but just even in homes, And I think being a leader has a lot to do with humility. Okay. If you can be humble and still have that very kind of confident, will to win, or I was reading a book about going from good to great. I think that humility can really allow you to understand people, all walks of life people, but have conversations, being open to conversations and understanding. And Fred Jones is one of my mentors, and he gave me He gave me an example of listening to an older gentleman. They gave him some advice. He wasn't a CEO. He wasn't a, the president of a bank or anything like that, but he was just a retired guy who came at the Classic, and that little bit of advice that he took and he listened to, as humble as he is, he applied that to the Classic the next year, and it doubled. And then, as far as the tailgate size of it. So, yeah, I think if you're open, if you're humble, if you're willing to have conversations, you can get places and connect with people and lead people in a different way. If you can just show that humility and that vulnerability. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to take that with me. I hadn't thought about it like that. I love it. All right. Well, we're going to go to commercial break. I've enjoyed having Chris with us here so far, but we got to pay some bills, so we'll go to commercial break, and we'll be right back.
All right.
Ladies, do you feel feminine during your feminine flow? You know, your monthly cycle, your period? Are you still suffering in silence? The suffering is over. It's time to choose Rain. Rain is an all-natural, premium sanitary napkin with 8 layers of cotton, high-grade polymers, graphene to help cut bacteria by 99.9%. Ladies, let's protect the most precious jewel in the world, you.
Rain Premium Sanitary Napkins do not make any medically backed claims or personal recommendations of any kind. For more information, contact Marilyn McGee. Can you actually imagine hosting your next event at the all-new SVP Banquet and Event Center? Yes! Spacious, beautiful venue with plenty of parking, located in the heart of East Memphis. Let us host your next intimate birthday gathering, family repast, bachelorette party, wedding and reception, baby shower, corporate meeting, social club event. Call us today. Don't wait. 901-244-6874. The all-new SVP Banquet and Event Center.
You're talking about a good time, shield. We all come on now.
Center Stage Gospel Music live from Memphis, Tennessee, featuring gospel artists from around the world. Toe tapping, hand clapping, down home gospel music. Watch on Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, and your local Comcast. Download the SVP TV app now on your smart television and mobile device. Center Stage Gospel season premieres Sunday, 8 p.m. Central.
Hey folks, it's Issa Haddad here. I got some good news and a special invitation for you to come see me here at Sunrise Collierville. Come on down, check out my inventory with new, pre-owned, and certified vehicles to choose from. I can get you finance when no one else can. Come on by, bring your family. I treat you like family. Come see me, Issa, here at the #1 dealership in the Mid-South, 4605 Houston Levy Road, Sunrise Collierville. Come on down, check out my inventory with hundreds of vehicles to choose from, pre-owned, new, and certified.
Good news from Sunrise Chevrolet. Get in your new vehicle today. Come on in, ask for Issa. Bankrupt, slow pay, bad credit, it's okay. Let Issa put you in your brand new truck or car today when you shop at Sunrise Chevrolet Collierville.
And don't forget, ask for me, Issa.
Welcome back to Couch Convo with Coach Karla. I'm your host, Karla Lewis, and I'm here with a very special guest, the president and general manager of WLMT and WATN, Christopher Franklin.
Glad to
Christopher B. Franklin. So we've been having a really good conversation about media and influence and making a difference in our community. And during the break, Chris was sharing with me about the different town halls and how they each kind of have their own flavor depending on what part of Memphis we're talking about. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I can even tell you about what I found. You learn so much about every part of town. I can tell you that definitively.
Okay.
The thing that surprised me about West Memphis is they're always, considered a part of Memphis,
Mm-hmm.
but being in eastern Arkansas, they don't have any media outlets of their own.
Oh,
They don't have any TV stations
okay.
or newspapers or, little radio
Right.
stations. And so to tell their story, or not just to tell their story, if they're having issues with, government or anything, what is their voice? Who is their voice?
Yeah.
And they're being the voice for themselves. Something like I said, from the way they described it to me, I was completely shocked and unaware that was an issue. And so there are things like that you discover going from different zip codes, I'll say.
Okay.
Obviously there's, and being Hampton, you see there's a lot of new development that's happening. But what we discovered there also is that with those new developments, there are people who have lived there for 30 years who now can't afford to live there.
Right.
And so, what has been the answer for them as they've gone out to look for places and they find themselves 30 minutes inside of Arkansas to find an affordable place to live.
Wow.
So, but yeah, every community is completely different. And I normally sit in the back and don't say anything until, one of the moderators or anchor or reporter calls me up and say, hey, this is our general manager.
Yeah.
But what's really cool is when I'm sitting back and listening and no one knows who I am, I hear the people in the community advocating for themselves. Yes, they're talking about what needs to be changed, but they're advocating for themselves, and they get each other's phone numbers and they figure out what they can do. Because many of them have never met because they've never been put in a forum where the community can gather.
Right.
So yeah, every neighborhood has their own story. Whitehaven, Westwood, West Memphis, Valentine, Evergreen, Midtown,
Yeah.
downtown. I mean, you sit back and you think about all the different crosstown's new development.
Right.
You think about all these different parts of town, they all have their own unique voice. And you can't just do a story and say Memphis. You really can't. Because, it's almost like generalizing all black people. You
Right.
can't do that. You
Right.
can't do. They all have their very unique character and stories.
And as you were talking, I was thinking about how people assume certain things about certain communities. And one of those was Cordova, and I've been in Cordova for a minute, and there was always this, everything is perfect in Cordova. No, it's not. The roads need fixing in Cordova, just like they need fixing in a lot of the other communities. And so that stands out to me. And not only that, but crime has greatly increased in the Cordova area. One of the issues, of course, is car theft. And I'm gonna say it like this, car theft, even in Cordova, I think that people are learning now that it's crime is everywhere, in our city. And actually, we're not the only city that's struggling with crime. Our nation is struggling with crime. If we really pay attention to the news and what's going on from city to city, state to state. And so I'm really not sure why that is, but what I do know is with community, we can continue to get better and better and better as we continue to communicate and share information. I like I think it's called Next Door. And so I signed up and I get those emails so I can find out what's going on in the community. That's a good way to keep in touch and to build community as well, maybe in a different way from what we used to do. And now, I don't know if there are other apps out there like Nextdoor or not, but I know about that because I get those
But even
emails.
that's media. And that's the thing. People think television, radio, your standard one-way communication is media. No, obviously social media is media. Nextdoor is a part of media. These groups on Facebook are a part of media. And so, they talk about it's the media doing this. Well, all of us in some sense are the media. And so everything you choose to ingest, matter of fact, every time you're going down your social media timeline and you stop and watch something that may be inappropriate or too many fights or whatever it is that's going on, those algorithms keep feeding you that, and you're choosing to watch that. And so all I'm saying is that you've got the power to change not only what you ingest, but also what these algorithms think the people want.
That's
Yeah.
wow. That's interesting. Because I hadn't thought about that as far that reach as far as algorithms go. That well, I'm just restating what you said. That it impacts what we all see.
Look, I had one of my buddies told me that he was he tested it. I think he has Alexa in his home, and so he just walked around his house saying cats, or cat food, or
Wow.
he doesn't have a cat, but then he began to get ads for cat food and cat accessories, and
Yeah.
so everything that you say or do, they say Big Brother's listening, but someone is listening.
Yeah.
And like I said, you really do have the power to change a lot. Even watching traditional TV, we have ratings. We can tell who's watching us, who's watching the competition. When you choose to watch those news stations that have it, when it bleeds, it leads, or who call people that look like us thugs all the time,
Yeah.
and you stay tuned into that, that begins to bring more revenue and salacious content because they think that's what you want. So you have the choice to turn away from it,
Yeah.
and change what's being fed to you.
So as you were saying, you said the word choice, and that brought back to my mind my experience in Hawaii, and I don't think I'm going to let that go. I mean, I appreciate the fact the tone was set before we got there. Let me say that. The organizers of the summit, her first name is Anjani, and I believe her last name is David. It's amazing that I can remember her first name, but I get those last names wrong, right? So, but she is the organizer of the summit, and she made sure that when we went to Hawaii, that we honored their rituals and paid homage and respect to the culture there and set that intention. And I think that it made a big difference. And she called us all Ohana, which is family in Samoan. And I think that it set the tone for the whole conference, that we're approaching this as we're all family. We're brothers and sisters. And, I was laughing with people. I always thought when The Rock would say, brother, that he was being, funny. But I didn't know that it's their culture to call everybody brother and sister. And Lucy, I'm on TV, baby. I really think that it makes a difference that when we all see one another as family. You're my brother, you're my sister. I have a responsibility to take care of you, to value the ground that we walk on, to respect the culture. And one of the things that I also saw was I went from Maui to Kihei. This is about a 30-minute drive. One of the things that I want to say is that the people there are still impacted from the fire that they had on the island of Maui.
That's right.
The anniversary is August the 8th, and the school children will be let out of school for that day. But I want to say that on the way from Maui to Kihei, that there are a lot of people who are still homeless after those fires, and they were living on the beaches. And so, I'm saying that in terms of us just being grateful for what we have. I know a lot of times if we don't have a certain amount of money, we feel like we're or not doing okay, and we do a lot of comparing ourselves to other people. But if we practice gratefulness, I think, and gratitude, it makes a big difference. And I'm gonna say this too, a lot of people look at me and they're like, well, how did you get this and how did you get that? Listen, it's not just one thing, but I definitely practice gratitude. And that means if I get an extra chip at Taco Bell, I'm grateful. and it's like it shows on my face. I express it and I say it to God. You know, I have a friend, she said, Anna, she said, every time we go somewhere, you get a free cookie or a free pie.
I need to hang with you.
I'm grateful when it happens. You know, it's like, you know, the 4th of July. And so I believe that that makes a difference. And when those things happen, I believe that God is saying, hey, you're still on my mind. I'm still thinking about you, you know. And so the way that we think about things can be very, very important. Now, I had some other point before I got off into all of that. But what I wanted to say was on the ride from Maui to Kihi, okay, so I made it to Kihi, and we're talking about Ohana family and us taking care of each other and that making a difference. What I had a chance to see was, okay, so yes, they have some homeless there. And I saw a homeless man kind of like approaching people. And then I saw a police officer walk up to him and have a conversation with him. Mm-hmm. The conversation was very close. It was very personal. I think he probably said, you know, I know you're going through a hard time right now, but you can't do that right here in this spot. And there was just quietness and a gentle walking away. And I was like,
different. Yeah.
That's what you gotta do? Oh, okay, we need to do that right there, you know? And so I'm really interested in us looking at other cultures, other cities, other states to see what it is that they do that makes a difference. And we should be able to apply their best practices to our city and to our state to help make things better. It's not that we don't have the knowledge. Well, what are we doing with the knowledge that we have? Or do we all need to come together and put the knowledge together in a certain way that it can be facilitated in a palatable way throughout the city?
No, I think you're right. You operate different if you can see someone as your brother or your sister or family. Your conversation is different. The words you choose, your being quick to anger isn't as fast. If you can you will definitely operate differently.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
And having a sense of responsibility. I need to take care of this, and if I don't, it impacts my family. And then I'm also concerned about everyone else that's here.
Yes, indeed.
And they have the beautiful, in Hawaii, they have the beautiful land to prove it, you know, that it makes a difference. And as I mentioned, the fruit is sweeter, coffee better. I'm ready to go back now, but I need a little cash out.
How's their barbecue? I'm just messing with you.
But you know what? But we did have that though.
Oh, really?
I'm glad you brought that up. I was my mind was like, how you know? But anyway, at the luau, yes. I'm so glad you brought it up. Okay, so I did go to the luau. There is we were at the Sheraton Maui. Okay. And so they prepare a feast for the luau, but a part of that feast is that they put the pig in a pit in the ground.
Oh, wow.
And so what really, you know, stood out for me about that is I know my grandfather would do that sometimes for like the 4th of July. Like they did, you know, clear out the ground.
A whole pig?
Yeah. Put the whole, and man, that pig they gave us was so good. I mean, I've had some good barbecue. That pig was good. You hear me?
Oh.
I mean, we had pig, beef. I'm supposed to say pork. I'm sorry, y'all. Pork, beef, fish, everything was just tender. You stick your fork in it and the beef just flake off like that.
All right.
Well, see, you asked me how was the barbecue. I had barbecue in Hawaii.
I was just joking.
But no, that was, and there was an elaborate show that went with that. Of course, they did the hula. And I thought I was gonna catch on to that. That child, I haven't caught on to that yet. But I enjoyed them putting the lei on us and putting a little, you know, flower in your hair, and you wear it on the right if you're single. I told them, give me 5, child. Put 5 up there, okay? Because I'm single. But I love that. And even just being able to mingle with all of the other people who were there at the hotel was good. I was at a table with what was his? He was a nurse as well as a social worker. And that was really, that stood out to me because those things continued to happen no matter where I went. When I was on the plane, I was next to a young lady who had just finished her master's in psychology. And I was like, it's hundreds of people on this plane. She was so happy to meet me, you know, because I have 20 years of experience in the field. And so I kind of just talked to her about doing private practice. And now we're connected on Instagram.
And you made her laugh, I'm sure, because that's what you do.
Absolutely. Made her laugh, sure did. Wasn't even trying to. So, yeah. And I call those God things. And so those things help make life, the joy of the Lord is our strength. Those things help give joy to our lives as well. But even she talked about how expensive it is over there in Hawaii.
Oh, Lord.
But she has like her in-laws live over there, so it was interesting. It was good. So while we're almost at the end here, I want to make sure that I explain the refresh, the hiatus that I took for the month of July. It's always good to be able to take a break from whatever it is that you do. I don't care how much you love it, you can get tired. And even CeCe Winans said that, okay? Y'all know I love CeCe Winans, gospel music singer, but she said we all need that break, that refreshing. And so I wasn't on a total break because I did work on Couch Convo with Coach Karla. Now, you all can go to a website dedicated just for Couch Convo with Coach Karla and see, keep up with information, events, shows that are coming up, as well as past shows. Also, you have access to sponsorship packets because the show is not free. It's not like being interviewed on some of the other news stations. It does cost for me to be able to bring the show to the community. And so sponsorship packets will be available there. And of course, I mentioned the new tagline. We are looking at where current events converge, where current events and mental health converge. And so we wanted to send the message that we are getting more into the things that are going on in the community and talking about the mental health impact. We're also going to be doing events as well. It's not going to just be a TV show anymore. We're going to do some mental health events in the community. In the past, I've mentioned I need help. So now I have 2 assistants who are working with me on my brand, Couch Convo with Coach Karla, to help make it bigger and better. And some of you know the show has been around now. We're going on 4 years this month. So started off on Facebook Live and then went to radio and then now TV. So here we are. So check out Couch Convo with Coach Karla, the website. I told you all about the tagline, and check out sponsorship packages.
Yeah, well, kudos to you. Consistency is key. 4 years.
Thank you.
No, that's special. But that also shows that you're passionate about what you're doing. So, yeah.
You know what? It shows that I'm obedient to God. And I'm being a little funny. And the reason why I'm saying that is because this is something that God asked me to do during the pandemic. I am not a person, like, okay, people think that because I can sing or because I can speak well, that I like being out in front of people. No, not really. I mean, I could just sit, like you mentioned, sitting in the back of the room. I could just sit in the back of the room and take it all in. But my gifts push me to the front and don't allow me to be in the back a lot of times. But God asked me to do the show in August of 2020 to be an encouragement to people because of what we were going through. And so that's not something that I would have popped up and said, hey, I want a show. And so, you know, it's really, I'm glad now that I followed through. And, you know, I've told people when I did Facebook Live, sometimes it would just be 0 people in the audience with me week after week after week. And I wanted to quit. And then, like, the next week, one of the radio stations contacted me and said, "Hey, we wanted you to move this over to doing a radio show." And I thought it was a joke, you know, because there's a lot of scams out there, right? And I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. And so I had to look up the radio executive's information and see that she actually was a radio executive with that particular radio station. And so when we are obedient and God asks us to do something, he can take something small and make it great and reach a lot of people. And I've had a lot of wonderful guests on the show. And
Who's your best guest?
obviously you. Obviously you. You didn't even give me
record.
You didn't even give me a chance to say it. It's Christopher Franklin, y'all.
Oh, yeah.
But that made me think about, I want to make sure I get this out there too. The Memphis Black Arts Alliance, which I'm a part of, is headlining the Atlanta Black Theater in Atlanta, August 31st. And so let's go to Atlanta and support Memphis arts. Right now there's a movement to bring Memphis arts to Atlanta because we're just that good. That's another thing about Memphis is us not necessarily realizing how we're celebrated all over the world as
Most
Memphians.
definitely.
So yeah, but that's gonna happen right where practices are underway. I've got a couple of solos we're working on. I'm a woman, WOMAN. Can you? You can't do it? All right. I'm a woman on Broadway. So any of the, a lot of popular Broadway songs, we're bringing them to Atlanta, and we're doing choreography, not just singing, child. Woo. I'm talking about, when I say we are working it out at practice, we are working hard. Y'all better come see that show.
Support.
Y'all better come see that show in Atlanta. It's a bus going. Come on now, get on the bus. Mm-hmm. So, but I've really enjoyed talking with Chris this evening, Christopher B. Franklin. I will never, ever mess up your last name again. And we're both Fiskites.
Yes.
We attended the illustrious, the dynamic Fisk University, the gold and blue.
Yes.
Don't play no games.
Special place.
It is a special place.
Yes, indeed.
So, Chris, do you have any last words or like a key thing that you want to share with the audience as we get out of here?
You know, I guess I'll share what I share with the Memphis area or Memphis Association of Black Journalists here in Memphis. I hopped on a Zoom call and I told them, actually I got this from my wife, so she already knows what I'm getting ready to say. I had a just before we were married, I had a password. I told her what it was, and she was just like, well, what does it mean? And I was like, well, it doesn't mean anything. And I told her what it meant, and she was just like, well, you need to change it. That's part of your past. So let's think about something, you know, that's more fitting for today. And so, you know, my question to you all is, what's your password? Okay. And so what she encouraged me to do was type something that, you know, if I have to log into my computer every day, multiple times a day, what would that thing be? Is it inspirational? Is it something that you love and cherish? And so mine, I've changed the password now, so you can't get it now. But mine throughout 2023 was President General Manager 2024 !
Wow.
And so I was speaking things into fruition. You know, a prayer to God, a bullet prayer every time I typed it in. Listening for those moments to be encouraged and do and be what I felt like I was called to be. But, you know, like I said, just a tip to make your life better every day. Encourage yourself. Don't wait on somebody else to do it for you. So wishing you the best. I know God has what it is for you.
I appreciate that so much because that is one of the things that I really encourage people to do, to speak those things that are not as though they were, to visualize, to speak it, to use affirmations. And even when clients finally do it, they say, Miss Karla, you know, them affirmations, they ain't bad. Yeah, that's why I'm trying to encourage you to do it. It's one of the things that I do. If I'm nervous, I do affirmations. I mean, these are the things that we know work. And what Chris mentioned is a little bit different in terms of speaking those things that are not as though they were, but also visualizing our success and exactly where we want to be. And I'm gonna piggyback on what you just shared, because I that was something that not what you spoke, but I had spoken wanting to be a brand ambassador. And then like with maybe a year later, I got a chance to be a brand ambassador with Macy's and the Goo Goo. And then had a chance to do the Curvy Icon Tour. And now gonna be a model September 22nd for the Wait Is Over fashion show. And so when I ask people to do things, I'm doing it because I know it works. Right. And I want you to experience that same success and joy that I experienced. And I mean, what is it exactly that we're here for anyway? We're here to be there for others and experience life. That's right. And have joy, enjoy it, you know? Mm-hmm. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Make sure you check out Couch Convo with Coach Karla. And also follow Mr. Christopher B. Franklin at his multiple TV stations, yeah, ABC 24 and
CW30.
All right. Thank you all so much. And keep on coming back to the couch on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. live on YouTube as well as Facebook. And as always, the show airs on Xfinity Channel 17 on Friday nights at 7 p.m. Good night.
Ladies, do you feel feminine during your feminine flow? You know, your monthly cycle, your period? Are you still suffering in silence? The suffering is over. It's time to choose Rain. Rain is an all-natural, premium sanitary napkin with 8 layers of cotton, high-grade polymers, graphene to help cut bacteria by 99.9%. Ladies, let's protect the most precious jewel in the world, you.
Rain Premium Sanitary Napkins do